Madam President of the National Council, Mrs. Karen Uwaje, esteemed Inner Wheel Council members, distinguished guests, and most importantly, my incredible sisters in service, it is an absolute privilege to be here with you today, even if only in spirit. Let me start with a confession, or shall I say an apology. I was supposed to be standing right here in person today. I really had looked forward to this. I booked my ticket all the way back in November just to be sure that nothing would scuttle my plans of being here. But as we say in our parts, man proposes, God disposes. The Canadian winter refused to let it happen. And although I was sulking about it, really feeling bad, Auntie Karen gave me a different perspective when she reminded me of a story about my mother, Inner Wheel member Josephine Masade. She tells me that many years ago, my mom was meant to attend an Inner Wheel conference in India, right? And visa delays eventually meant that she couldn't go. She was, of course, disappointed, just as I am today, even though I'm smiling. But here's a twist. It turns out that the return flight she could have been on crashed in Ivory Coast. So, sisters, mothers, I stand here today, maybe not physically, but in spirit, legacy, and purpose. If nothing else, let this be a reminder that everything truly works together for those who love their God. And to you, Auntie Karen, and your dear husband who kept on following up with me to make sure that nothing went wrong, even though eventually it didn't quite go as planned. I think it's for a good reason. Thank you for keeping my mother's memory alive. Thank you. She loved you. I'm sure you know. She loved this club. And she loved humanity in all its color. Now, I will speak to the legacy of humanitarian service. People often name big celebrities or historical figures when asked about their mentors. But for me, it's quite simply my mother. She was my first and greatest mentor. She remains my greatest mentor. In times of indecision, I think of my mom. What would Josephine Masade have done? So they didn't just believe in humanitarian service. She became it. And because of that, it became a part of me too, and a part of everyone around her, for those who wanted, of course, to imbibe it. After she passed, I was traumatized, but I did witness something amazing. Her name continued to open doors. I remember going to the French consulate once, and there was this, at the time, Edu Europe craze. You know what I'm talking about. And I was going to be refused a visa, but at the mention of her name, I was not. At institutions, even amongst strangers, that, my dear sisters, is the power of a life well lived in service. Frederick Buechner once said, "Your calling is where your greatest joy meets the world's greatest need." And today, I want to speak about something deeply profound: the epigenetics of humanitarian service. I've applied epigenetics since I learned about it to almost everything that I know about. Cultural humility to different sectors, oil and gas, everything, because it's important, because you wonder what on earth is epigenetics. Now, don't let the big words scare you, although, I like big words. Epigenetics is the study of how external factors, our environment, behavior, experiences can alter how our genes are expressed, not just in our lifetime, but for generations to come. In very simple terms, just as trauma can pass through generations, so can acts of love, kindness, service. Imagine the ripple effect of what we do. And I'm joining myself to you as Inner Wheel women. Our impact is not just for now, as I'm sure you know, but for generations to come. Now, let me give you some real life examples of people that we know about, we've talked about, but we haven't really sat down to really consider what drives them. Speaking about epigenetics in family and how service can run in families, I would let you know that some of the world's greatest humanitarians, philanthropists, and change makers didn't just stumble into greatness. They were shaped by parents, mentors, leaders like yourselves who lived lives of service. Bill Gates, for instance, was inspired by his father. William Gates the Senior, who co-chaired the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that is well known around the world. Angelina Jolie, the popular actress, who's adopted and keeps on being available to children around the world, was influenced by her mother's advocacy for women's rights and refugee causes. The famous Barack Obama, raised by a mother who worked in rural development, in microfinance and education, apart from becoming president, was very known as a successful community organizer. Nelson Mandela, our very own son of a Thembu chief, who believed in justice and equality. Or is it Malala Yousafzai, the young girl from Pakistan, beg your pardon, who was empowered by a father who championed girls' education against all odds. Finally, let's talk about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who was rooted in the values of education and storytelling, inspired by her professor parents. Now, imagine the impact of generations of women in this room. You, dear ladies, who have dedicated your lives, your time, your resources to humanitarian service. I will tell you that just as genes are modified by experience, so too are societies transformed by selfless service of women like you. If we look back at the values that shape us, or me in particular, I would say there are two core influences that have shaped me. Firstly, my personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and the humanitarian spirit that I inherited from my mother and inner will. They've shaped me, and these influences, through them, I have learned three fundamental values that continue to guide my work and my life. The first one is humility. True service is not about recognition or rewards, but about meeting real needs. The second is love and service to others. Service isn't just an action, it's a way of life that transforms society. Integrity is the third, also a core value of my business. A world built on honest, selfless service is a world where future generations thrive. These values connect deeply, very deeply, to this year's Inner Wheel theme, Heartbeat of Humanity. Every bit counts, every action matters. Now let's look at the power of generational impact. You know, when businesses conduct impact assessments, and this is me putting on my sustainability consulting hat, they often measure results over a short period, maybe 5 years, maybe over a decade, sometimes even shorter, 3 years. But think about if we measured impact across generations. What if we traced the descendants of every inner wheeler in this room? What do you think we would find? How many schools would have been built? How many primary health care centers would have been supported? How many lives would have been transformed? How many doors would have been opened for people we may never even meet? Now, I can tell you for free that there would be no CSR in action, no advocacy, no passion for development, no Bekeme, no me, had it not been for Inner Wheel. And I know that it's the same for many of us gathered in this room. I know some of your children. And I know how this club has shaped us, has shaped who I am, and will continue shaping future generations to come. It's a full circle for me. And that's something that we should continue realizing, that love is a full circle of service. And at the core of all we do is love. True, unwavering love for humanity. I mentioned earlier, my mom loved you, Auntie Karen. You know that. And she went out of her way, even when you were new in town, to protect, to support you. Same with everybody she came across. She saw humanity beyond borders. She knowingly housed medically diagnosed schizophrenics, who had escaped treatment centers. She took in strangers from the north, south, east, west who had nowhere to go. She taught me that service is not about status. It's about seeing every human being as being worthy of dignity, of love, of care. And so I just want to remind us, for those who may be discouraged, my sisters, let us be reconcilers in a broken world. I will quote a biblical text, Matthew 5:9, which reminds us that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. We are the sons, the daughters of God. And everything that our hands find to do, we will continue to do it well. Whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a cleaner, whether you are the CEO of a big business, we are expected to do it with excellence. And so our humanitarian work, we will continue to do with excellence. We will not despise small beginnings. We'll remember that every act of kindness today will create ripples of change across time. I always say to people, to my children, put your money where your mouth is. Let your actions speak louder than words. And I believe that that's what we're doing. That's what we've been doing. And to every woman in this room, I would say never stop giving your time. Never stop giving your resources. Some of you have flown from across Africa, the world. Keep on doing so. Keep on giving your love to the world. If no one thanks you today, because it's a thankless job, I know, future generations will. They will rise and they will call you blessed. And just to end this on a note that I think that Inner Wheel member Joe Masade will be really proud of, and that you all love, would be to sing an anthem that we all know and love. And if you have a glass wherever you are, just raise it up and join me to sing this song. Let every good dame raise her hat and her glove. Vive la inner wheel, to carry the message of service and love. Vive la inner wheel, vive la, vive la, vive la inner wheel. Vive la inner wheel. Truth is alive, love is a might. Vive la inner wheel. Vive la, vive la, vive la inner wheel. Vive la inner wheel. Truth is alive, love is a might. Vive la inner wheel. Long live inner wheel. If you still have your glass, just raise it up and cheers to you. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your day.